Are you the leader of a team that you just can't seem to get firing on all cylinders? You've got the right talent, you've got the right experience, but they can't seem to get along? There's something called group learning agreements that will be a very useful tool for that team, and you can learn more about it in this video. Hey, I'm Janet Harvey, CEO of inviteCHANGE and an ICF Master Certified Coach with a deep passion for working with groups and teams in all kinds of different settings. It's really how I started my work in the world as a professional coach. And I discovered something somewhat by accident that now 28 years later I realize is an incredibly important best practice. We call them group learning agreements, and I'm going to talk about that in this video. Group learning agreements. So by definition, we're talking about more than one person, and human beings require a lot of support to be effective in being with each other. Even though our brains are wired as social brains, and it is through relationship that everything in life gets done, we don't have much of a rule book for how to do this well. We usually figure it out when it breaks down and it's horrible and we're at each other's throat or feeling like we want to leave the relationship. So group is the first thing here, that these are agreements that we're making for being with other people. Learning, meaning that if we're intentional about how we're being together, not just a party or going out to the movies, we've got a purpose together that puts us in the same place and same time, maybe over time, and it's going to be for learning something so that we can do something out in the world, make our contribution more effective. Whether it's in a company or maybe it's a civic group that you work in, but we're definitely doing learning. Now that means we're vulnerable. The minute we say that there's something we don't know something about, we start to go, oh, will I be okay? Am I good enough? Will I matter? Will my voice belong here? And as a result, we start to protect ourselves until we can figure it out. So when groups gather together and they skip over the step of asking, what are we here for? What brought us here? And then they skip over, what are we expected to deliver? Those two pieces are the opportunities to get to know each other. What's the inspiration to be part of this group in the first place? And we start that relationship building process. And then what are we expected to deliver helps us to all get our assumptions sorted out. I thought I was here to contribute my technical skill, but what you really want is the experience that I'm having when I go to the city and pay my property taxes. Yes, we want your citizen's view, not your technical skill, and so on. And then the third is, how will we behave with each other so that we can do our best work? And that's the agreements piece. These are statements of behavior. For example, ask for what you want in the moment or as close to it as you can is a way to help people recognize that they can blurt and contribute into the space rather than holding their arms like this, waiting for an opening, and the opening never comes and they get resentful. Another might be that you want everyone to be open and transparent about their thinking and fully participate. It's a pretty common agreement. Unfortunately, it's too vague. So in this context, what would it look like if I was being open and transparent? And somebody might say, we're building on each other's ideas. And we know when it's time for brainstorming and we know when it's time for decision making, that somebody calls the proposal. These are examples that I'm giving you. And these aren't things that we practice. They're not habits in our way of gathering together. So that's the reason this is such an important technique. Whether you are a coach or a consultant or a facilitator or a teacher, these are life skills when you're working what I call one-to-many, to take the time. What brought us here? What are we expected to deliver? And then allow the room to start to inform what is the way to be together to create what Amy Edmondson from Harvard calls psychological safety. All of us want it. And when it's not there, we know it. It's very invisible. We usually don't talk about it, but we know it, and our behavior is to protect ourselves. I mean, when we do that, we diminish the potential. We diminish the contribution. So what we want is to optimize the contribution and have everybody have fun and enjoy and feel inspired to contribute. Group learning agreements are the answer to that. So if you want to start to practice group learning agreements on your own, click right here and get the white paper. It will give you some ideas about how to get started. And we also have an advanced group and team coaching program, which will dive very deeply into group learning agreements and how to build those with your customers. And if you want to hear about the experience of that course, check out Nikki's testimonial. She's just completed the program and is going gangbusters in her organization working with groups and teams. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel because we frequently update this with wonderful tools and resources for coaches to be very effective. And this is the way to get from one to one to one to many.